Hey Team Bio, welcome to your screencast on nondisjunction. What happens when chromosomes fail to segregate properly during meiosis? Okay, so yesterday or a few days ago we talked about a human karyotype. A human karyotype is when you take all the chromosomes of a person, you lay them out next to each other, and you see that every chromosome has, chromosomes come in pairs. You get one chromosome, one from your biological mother, and one chromosome, one from your biological father, and so on and so forth. We could go down the line of all the chromosomes and identify which one came from biological mom and which one came from biological dad. You have 22 autosomes and one pair of sex chromosomes. The sex chromosomes are the X and Y chromosomes. If you are XX, you are a biological female. And if you are XY, you are a biological male. Remember that sex and gender are not the same thing. And so this individual here is a biological female. If there was a single copy of the Y chromosome and one copy of the X, we would have a biological male. Okay, so those are the chromosomes. However, every once in a while, people are born and they have an abnormal number of chromosomes or an atypical number of chromosomes. And an example of that is what's called trisomy 21. When you have an extra copy of a chromosome, so 3 copies of a chromosome, it's called a trisomy. If you have only 1 copy of a chromosome, it's called monosomy. And how does this happen, this extra copy of a single chromosome? Well, it happens during meiosis. Now, you can get monosomies or trisomies that occur in mitosis, but unless they happen really early on in development, they won't proliferate around the entire body. However, if you have an egg or a sperm cell that has an extra copy or not enough copies of a chromosome, if that gamete is fertilized and becomes part of a developing embryo, every single cell in the body will have an extra copy of, or missing a copy of a single chromosome. Okay, so that's why we pay attention to non-disjunctions that happen in meiosis. Okay, so in a typical meiotic division, we have homologous chromosomes lining up on the metaphase plate during meiosis 1, and they're pulled apart during anaphase. Then sister chromatids separate from one another during anaphase of meiosis 2, and we're left with gametes that all have one single copy of every chromosome. So we start out with a cell that is 2N, and then at the end of meiosis, we have every single cell has 1N. When a 1N gamete meets another 1N gamete, we're back to a 2N individual. However, if there is what's called a non-disjunction, the failure of a chromosome to separate during either meiosis 1 or meiosis 2, we can be left with an abnormal number of chromosomes in the resulting gametes. So let's talk about what happens here. You can see here in meiosis 2 that instead of these homologous chromosomes separating during anaphase of meiosis 1, both of these chromosomes are being pulled to this side here. And this results in this cell having an extra copy of this chromosome, and this cell missing this genetic information entirely. And then when the second round of cell division happens, 2 gametes have an extra copy of a chromosome, and 2 gametes are missing a chromosome. If the error happens, the non-disjunction happens in meiosis 2, we're left with 1 gamete with an extra copy of chromosome, this is the case, this is chromosome 2, and a one gamete missing a copy of this chromosome entirely, and then 2 gametes that have segregated typically. So have exactly an N number of chromosomes. So if this gamete, which has, let's say, imagine this is an egg cell that has an extra copy of chromosome 21, it has 2 copies of chromosome 21. If it's fertilized by a sperm that has a 1 copy of chromosome 21, we're going to be left with an embryo that has 3 copies of chromosome 21. And this will lead to a trisomy. So Down syndrome is typically characterized by, I think it's like a round face and intellectual disability, but not all trisomies lead to super pronounced phenotypes. There is a syndrome called triple X, where women have 3 copies of the X chromosome. Triple X can result in, well, most individuals with triple X have no symptoms, so you would never know that they have 3 copies of the X chromosome. However, some women, very few of them, can have learning disabilities or seizures and kidney problems, but most people with triple X have no phenotype. There are also individuals who are XXY. These individuals are phenotypically male, but they have low testosterone. This is called Klinefelter syndrome. So low testosterone leading to reduced facial hair, reduced muscle mass, and generally these individuals are infertile. Trisomy 18 and trisomy 13 are both trisomies that are compatible with living people, or I guess I should say, most trisomies, like if you have a trisomy of chromosome number 1, this individual, this developing zygote, will never advance very far along in development and will lead to a spontaneous miscarriage. So it's not abnormal that miscarriage can happen during a pregnancy, and one of the reasons that miscarriage happens is because there is a trisomy or a monosomy of a chromosome that is necessary for the fetus to develop into a baby. So trisomy 18 and 13, like 21, are compatible with coming to a fetus coming to full term, but they lead to severe developmental delays, organ defects. Trisomy 18 is associated with abnormal head shape, and trisomy 13 generally very small eyes. And both of these individuals with these trisomies generally do not live for very long. The risk of having an individual, a baby, with a trisomy or a monosomy for women increases with age. So for women, nondisjunction, I guess I can... increases as maternal age increases. And the reason for that is that for women, oocytes or their egg cells are stalled in metaphase 2 of meiosis. And it's only if an egg is ovulated and then fertilized by a sperm, only when the sperm penetrates into the oocyte or the egg, will the second round of meiotic division happen. And as women age, the machinery that is pulling the chromosomes apart doesn't work as well. So we do see that as women get older, the risk of having a child with a trisomy or a monosomy increases. I don't think the same is true for men. However, eggs or sperm can contribute to the monosomy or the trisomy. Okay, that's all. Non-disjunction and how it can lead to genetic consequences. Bye.